Have any of you ever set up your alarm clock to wake up in the morning? I'm sure you have. It's quite amazing to see the different reactions of different individuals when the alarm goes. Some guys, when the alarm rings, they're so deep in their sleep, practically in a state of slumber, that everyone around them wakes up. But these guys are fast asleep. In our monastery, we had one monk who had a huge big alarm clock with equally bigger or probably a bigger sound. And we had a rule in our monastery that no one would set an alarm before 4 in the morning. And this guy would set up his alarm at 1:30 in the morning, and the alarm would keep ringing and he would never wake up. One day, one of our monks was so disturbed with the ringing alarm, he got up in a state of fury, picked up this large ringing alarm clock and went to the balcony. Our monastery is on the 2nd floor, and threw the alarm clock across our courtyard on the street just facing our monastery. The alarm clock hit the street, broke open into 2 pieces, yet continued ringing aloud. The whole neighborhood got up, but the guy who set the alarm clock was still fast asleep in a state of slumber. I call these guys the sleepers. The second type are those who, when the alarm rings, say, "Let me sleep for 5 minutes more." These guys profusely express their gratitude to God for having inspired that gentleman who invented the snooze button. When people keep just snoozing 5 more minutes, another 5 minutes, another 5 minutes. But at least these guys, at the 4th or the 5th snooze, wake up. I call these guys the snoozers. The third category is of those guys who at the first ring of the alarm wake up. They continue sitting in their bed though, completely confused, lost, asking themselves, "Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? Why did I set the alarm in the first place?" And then conveniently they turn the alarm off and go back to sleep again. I call these guys the fallers. And then the 4th guys are those who, when they hear the alarm, the first ring, actually wake up, get out of bed and hit the floor to start with their day-to-day activities. Ladies and gentlemen, my question to all of you is, which one of these 4 are you? In terms of actually waking up when the alarm rings, let's start going to level 4. I call them the wakers, who actually wake up as soon as the alarm rings. Spiritual wisdom is like an alarm. The alarm of spiritual wisdom is meant to awaken us internally so that we can make proper choices. We can think right, do right, and live right. And when the spiritual wisdom alarm clock rings, there are 4 types of reactions again. The first are the sleepers. They keep hearing the alarm, but they're in such a state of deep slumber and ignorance that they don't hear at all. In fact, they just continue with their old ways. They continue making wrong choices. They don't even bother about transforming themselves or the inner awakening. Type 2 are the snoozers. Those who, when they hear the alarm clock, spiritual wisdom, they say, "Yes, we will change. We must change. We want to change. We have to change. Not today though, tomorrow." Snooze, snooze. They keep postponing the snoozers. The third type are the fallers. When spiritual wisdom and awakening comes to them, they actually wake up. They start changing. They start living right. They start doing right. But then, for some reason, they go back to their old ways, wrong ways, complacent ways, lethargic ways, not so right ways, the followers. And the last type is the wakers. These are those people who, when spiritual wisdom is heard by them, they'll wake up, awaken, and start the process of transformation and change by the earliest. All of us have to be wakers. We don't want to be sleepers, snoozers, or fallers. We want to be wakers. Think right, speak right, do right, and live right. Walking with lions casually can probably be easy when the lions are tamed, when we have experts who can deal with them around us and take charge of any untoward situation that may happen. Otherwise, we all know that the lion is an extremely powerful, strong, and a ferocious animal, and we dare not go close to a lion. But the same lion, with all its strength, power, ferocity, and influence as the king of the jungle, can be helplessly disturbed and frustrated. Any guesses? Who can frustrate a lion? A tiny little bird. Sometimes a bird may come and sit on the back of the lion, scratch it, tickle it, or pass on it, and to say nothing of driving away the bird, the lion cannot even reach it at times. And even if somehow the lion can reach it, the bird just flies away. We, as human beings, have our power in the society that we live in as well. Our power comes from money, position, fame, influence, talent, skill. But just like the lion has that bird which can disturb him, we have that one bird which can leave us helpless, hopeless, sleepless, extremely frustrated and disturbed. That bird, which is our constant companion, is our mind. The greatest power in the world is our ability to take charge of our mind and focus it on and direct it to where we want it to be and not get directed by the mind. All mental health issues, depression, pressure, negativity, anxiety, stress, loneliness, worry, come from the inability to deal with the mind. Spirituality and meditation is that practice which helps us to take charge of the mind, to train it, and be empowered to live a life which is peaceful, mindful, and joyful. Cosmetics and knowledge are very similar. Both do well only when they're applied. Cosmetics, when applied, can change our looks, and knowledge, when applied, can change our life. The principles, the wisdom, the techniques that we learn from our coaches, our trainers, our gurus in our respective areas where we want to excel can only fulfill our dreams and make us successful if we apply them with one pointed attention and focus. When our mental energies are scattered and all over the place, we may have knowledge that our coaches and trainers give us, but we cannot actually see that knowledge bring success to us. Just like a magnifying glass, we have to minimize all distractions and bring that one pointed focus to be able to achieve success, whether the game of chess, game of life. What we learn will only bring us success when we minimize our distractions, focus, and apply ourselves 200% to what we have learned. And what's the practice all about? The practice is all about minimizing the distractions and maximizing our focus. When we minimize all the distractions and maximize the focus, whatever we do in our lives, whether it's a sport, whether it's academics, whether it's spirituality, whether it's personal life and discipline, whatever we do in our life, we will certainly achieve success in that particular area of life. Many times I say, some people are so poor, so absolutely poor that all they have is money. If you want to truly know how rich and wealthy you are, then drop a tear and see how many hands actually come forth to wipe that tear. Our true richness is people, our connections with people, our interpersonal relationships with people. Isn't it often said that our net worth is equal to our network? And when it comes to networking and our connecting to people, very often we just have the tendency to connect to a network with those apparently big guys, the more important ones. Even in the game of chess, if we simply network with the king or the queen or the bishop or the knight or the rook, and we do not pay attention to connecting and networking with these little pawns, who's going to play the role of the pawns? Even those little guys in the front are important. They play their respective roles to bring the ultimate victory to one who plays chess. And thus, whether it's the game of chess or it's the game of life, if we want victory and success, we have to connect with people at all levels. We have to network, connect, and have interpersonal relationships with everybody. A group of 70 scientists were working on a project as a deadline. These 70 scientists were so absolutely under pressure because of their hectic work and the deadlines. They were really finding it hard, but they were so loyal to their boss, they just kept going. One morning, one of the scientists came to the boss and said, "There's an exhibition in town and I've promised my children to take them for the exhibition. Is it okay if I leave at 5:30? The boss said, "We're really working on a deadline, but since you've promised your kids, you can actually leave at 5:30. The scientist was happy. He continued to work in his office, and when he looked at his watch, he had been so involved and absorbed in his work, he saw it was already 8:30 p.m. Oh, he felt so guilty that he had promised his kids that he would take them for the exhibition, and he hadn't gone home at 5:30. He came to his boss's cabin and saw the boss was not there as well. The scientist packed his bag and came home. His wife was sitting in the living room reading magazines. He knew that the situation was extremely explosive. His wife looked at him and said, "Would you like to take a cup of coffee, or would you like to go for dinner straight?" He said, "Well, if you prefer coffee, I don't mind taking a cup of coffee. But where are the kids?" The lady said, "At about 5:15, your boss came home and took the children for the exhibition. What had happened is at 5 o'clock, the boss had come and seen that the scientist was so absorbed and engrossed in his work and had completely lost track of time. The boss knew that he wasn't going to leave office at 5:30. Now, the boss didn't have to do this again and again. Even that one time he did it and made that investment, the kind of commitment that came from all the scientists that worked under him was incredibly amazing. This is why all these 70 scientists worked with such commitment at Thumba under their able, capable, and super sensitive boss.
guess who the boss was? Late Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, the mastermind behind the space research and the missiles project of India. Greatness is not just about rubbing shoulders with the big guys. The true symptom of greatness is how we treat the apparently small and the least amongst mankind whom we work with. Therefore, if we truly want to achieve success, we must connect to the big and the small at all levels, must treat them all with respect, dignity, and sensitivity.